As millions of Americans watched, President Biden outplayed Congressional Republicans to their faces on live TV and got them to give him a standing ovation in the process. Intrigued? Then click that like and subscribe and enjoy the video. All right, folks, it may be time for those of us who are politically engaged cynics to admit that at the ripe age of 80, there is still some hunt left in that old dog. And of course, I am referring to President Biden and his recent performance at the 2023 State of the Union address. So I had low expectations going into this because Biden is hit or miss rhetorically. And certainly as he's gotten older, right? When he's firing on all cylinders, Joe Biden is a very effective speaker. He doesn't exude charisma or rhetorical proficiency like President Obama or President Clinton, but he's got that old man, folksy charm to him, you know, that kind of personable demeanor, that old uncle vibe. But he's also a gaffe machine, right? And the gaffes have increased with frequency and magnitude as he's gotten older. And he's just not the speaker that he was in terms of consistency and fluidity that he was 10 years ago, like in 2012 when he gave that epic performance against vice presidential candidate Paul Ryan when Barack Obama was running for re-election, right? So again, he's hit or miss, right? And you never quite know what you get. But in terms of this most recent State of the Union, President Biden just killed it. He knocked it out of the park. He vastly exceeded expectations. And there were many highlights in terms of, you know, taking victory laps for his legislative successes, in terms of his compassion and empathy for like Tyree Nichols and others, and when it came to, you know, discussions of mass shootings and the gun reform that the United States needs to undertake. But probably the single biggest and best rhetorical highlight of the evening was the political jujitsu that he pulled on the Republican Party, the massed ranks of the sitting members of Congress on the GOP side in terms of the debt ceiling negotiation and Social Security and Medicare. So just to kind of set the table, as a reminder, we've hit the debt ceiling. Congress has to approve either raising or suspending the debt ceiling so the Treasury can spend money to pay our debts, to pay our bills. And right now, Republicans don't want to play ball. They've told President Biden and the Democrats, look, we will only raise or suspend the debt ceiling if you agree to spending cuts in the federal budget. President Biden, for his part, has said, no. You guys raise the debt ceiling all the time. You did it 3 times under Donald Trump. You've done it more times than Democrats in the past 60 years. And you want us to play ball when you need it done. So you're going to play ball with us now that we need it done. And so right now there's a bit of détente. And in terms of the spending cuts, Republicans are playing coy. They won't admit what exactly it is in terms of the federal budget they want to cut. But we're pretty damn sure it's Social Security and Medicare. Why do we say that? Well, historically speaking, that's what Republicans have sought to target, going back decades under President Clinton, under President Bush, under President Obama, under President Trump, and now under President Biden. Those are the social programs that Republicans have either tried to privatize or to sunset, which means that it fades out over time, or to just cut outright and defund. They have a track record of attempting that or proposing such legislation. Now, the downside is they call Social Security the third rail of politics because if you grab it, you're going to be electrocuted because it's incredibly unpopular to try to threaten to get rid of Social Security. Republicans know it's unpopular, and they fail time and time and time again to get it done. So now it seems like they've learned some of their PR lessons, and now they don't want to tell anybody, well, you know, when we talk about cuts, we're not saying cut Social Security or Medicare. I mean, my God, we're not saying that. But when reporters and other people ask them, okay, well, what do you want to cut? Kevin McCarthy and others say, well, we don't want to negotiate in the press. But if you look at the breakdown of the federal budget, it makes you wonder, right? So Social Security and Medicare are each like a quarter of the federal budget. There's huge chunks of it. And it's historically what they've targeted in the past. So if they're not going to target Social Security and Medicare now, what else are they going to target? Defense? You really think Republicans are going to go after defense? Right? The pro-military political party, it would be political suicide for them to say, yeah, we want to cut defense. Because anytime you propose cutting defense, Republicans tar and feather you as somebody who's weak on the military. You want the United States military to be weak. So it's unlikely that they would want to do that. So anyway, it's kind of been up in the air, right? But the assumption is that they want to cut Social Security and Medicare. And even in recent months, Republicans have indicated that. So let's just kind of set the table. This is Rick Scott, a Republican senator on Fox News, getting grilled over a recent proposal because he recently created a Republican policy platform, like an 11-point plan, and one of them included sunsetting Social Security and Medicare. Let's listen.
Recently put out an 11-point plan to rescue America, two of the big points of which are, quote, all Americans should pay some income tax to have skin in the game, even if a small amount. Currently, over half of Americans pay no income tax. It also says all federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. If a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. So that would raise taxes on half of Americans and potentially sunset programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Why would you propose something like that in an election year?
Sure. Well, John, that's, of course, the Democrat talking points. It's a
No, it's in the plan. It's in the plan.
But here's let's think about reality for a second. First off, let's talk about Medicare.
But Senator, hang on.
John.
So it's not a Democratic talking point. It's in the plan.
And also in the plan, it says we ought to every year talk about exactly how we're going to fix Medicare and Social.
So that's a Republican senator within the past few months being called out by a Fox freaking news host for proposing to sunset Medicare and Medicaid. All right, so that's one. I'll give you another example. Here's another prominent sitting member of the Republican Party, Mike Lee of Utah. Look what he has to say. Listen very carefully.
It will be my objective to phase out Social Security, to pull it up by the roots and get rid of it. Here, here, people who advise me politically always tell me that's dangerous, and I tell them, in that case, it's not worth my running. That's why I'm doing this, to get rid of that. Medicare and Medicaid are of the same sort and need to be pulled up.
So that's another prominent Republican, right, within recent times. So again, they have a long-standing history of targeting these programs going back decades, and even now, prominent Republicans have indicated that they want to cut or defund it or sunset it or privatize it. I also want you to note his expression here on the left side of the screen, because now we're getting to the main event itself, which was the State of the Union and the exchange between President Biden and Republicans on the topic of the debt ceiling, Social Security, and Medicare. Let's listen.
Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion. You know, it means if Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away. Other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant, but it's being proposed by individuals. I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you. Look, folks, the idea is that we're not going to be moved into being threatened to default on the debt if we don't respond. Folks, so folks, as we all apparently agree, Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be stopped. All right. I'm ready. We got unanimity.
So there you have it. Biden politically jujitsu'd the GOP on live TV in front of millions of Americans watching in front of their faces into publicly committing to protect Social Security and Medicare. So that, number one, that's extraordinary. Number two, it further disarms whatever leverage the Republican Party has in the debt ceiling negotiation, because this clip is going to be played all the damn time. What are you going to cut? You're not going to go after Social Security and Medicare. We saw you commit to the American people on live TV that not only are you not going to go after it, you're going to actively protect it. So this was a great political maneuver by President Biden, a great rhetorical flourish, and he completely outplayed them. So again, the old dog still has some hunt left in him, and I think in terms of signaling for a 2024 presidential race, if Joe Biden can continue to have these moments of rhetorical flourish and sophisticated strategy, we might be able to squeeze 4 more years out of him. Hey you! Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, and I hope that you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. And if you absolutely hated the video, the best revenge for you is also to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. That'll teach me. If you want to share an opinion or share some feedback, go ahead and leave a comment, all right? 2023 is a year of change, hence the aggressive rebrand and commitment to new content. Inspired by my friends Luke Beasley and STV Philly, my personal goal for this channel is to hit 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So I'm hoping you'll do me a solid by spreading the word and the videos to potential fans and hate watchers alike. And in the meantime, we'll be pondering politics again with you very soon.